Right now, you got to deal with the rain.
It's a hard morning to roll out of bed, guys. It's just pouring out there in some spots again. Yesterday, how about these numbers? This is just during the afternoon. Look at Virginia Beach. Almost 6 inches of rain reported there. If you live in that area, you know it was coming down in buckets for quite a while yesterday. York just over 4 inches. And Norfolk International, that's actually a record right there, 3.04 inches, breaking the previous that was held for 60 years. And that's one of the lower totals from across the area. Today, we add more to that number, 3.04. Again, there's that record from 1955. To give you a little bit of perspective here, how much rain actually 1 inch of rain is in terms of gallons. So 1 inch of rain over 1 acre of land, about 27,000 gallons, right? Now put that over Norfolk, which has about 61,000 acres, and you're talking 1.6 billion gallons of water. That's just 1 inch of rain. And we had 3 inches of rain at the airport, some areas nearly 6 inches, and there's more to come. There's live radar this morning showing it developing, pushing north, and even pushing a little bit further north and west. So just in time for that morning commute. Mother Nature has good, impeccable timing. As you look into here in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, even approaching the 664 corridor this morning, going to see a very wet morning commute. Ashley will be along with check on the roads in just a second. But the overall setup, stationary front just off the coastline here. The remnants or the ghost of what used to be Julia kind of influencing and amplifying this front, bringing a lot of moisture up and off the Atlantic. And that's what's kind of wringing things out with those heavy downpours. It's a nice shot here from our Skyview camera. Rain again, heavy at times today, heavy on the clouds as well. Flooding will be an issue in those low-lying areas that saw it yesterday, again today. And rain is in the forecast really for us right through Thursday. But the good news is the weekend looks really, really nice. We just got to get there. 73 in Norfolk, 72 in Newport News and Smithfield, 73 in Chesapeake. All right, through the day today, notice the bright coloring that's indicating the very heavy downpours again, kind of sitting and spinning over Hampton roads right through this evening and overnight. Things start to kind of quiet down, and early tomorrow morning we get a break in the action, and then more isolated showers and storms likely through Wednesday afternoon before finally this whole system kicks out of here by early Thursday morning. How much more rain we talk about? 2, 3, 4, 5 inches can't be ruled out between now and Thursday morning. So that will put our overall totals close to 10 inches in some areas that saw the very heavy downpours yesterday. So rain heavy at times today. Cool and breezy, gusts as high as 20 miles an hour later on today. And the next 7 days does have a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, especially just in time for the weekend. 82 on Saturday, 73 by Sunday. A little bit of a taste of autumn in there. Well, it will be autumn by that point with lows in the 60s overnight. It's cool, but unfortunately the clouds and Matthew.
Yes.
And now Nicole.
Yeah, and you know, I've been getting a lot of questions, and it's an interesting thing to think about. What happens if they interact with one another?
That's never happened before.
It has.
Okay.
It has. And you know, there's something, it's called the Fujiwhara Effect.
Okay.
And once they get close enough to one another, they actually attract each other and they rotate around one another.
What?
And eventually merging on one point and becoming one storm.
If they stay out there in the middle of the ocean, it's cool.
Yeah.
Not if they
the chances of that happening very minimal. It's very, very rare, but it's happened before.
Wow.
Fujiwhara. We've all learned something today.
Google it. Google it. And it's also hashtag. I'm sure it's going to be trending. At some point, maybe. We'll see.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, here's the latest update here on what's going on with Matthew. Category 3 storm this morning. Downgraded a bit since yesterday. Category 4 yesterday, but still monster. 120-mile-an-hour winds. Makes its way north along the Georgia, South Carolina coast, eventually weakening a tad bit to a Category 2. And then just about to the same latitude of Wilmington before it starts to dive to the south and east. And by that point, it weakens to a tropical storm. So well south of our area, but the fringe effects from it, the northernmost edge interacting with a cold front heading our way, will still bring us rain and wind this weekend. There's a satellite imagery, very healthy looking system there just south and east of Cape Canaveral. And there's Nicole we were talking about. There's about 500 miles in between the two storms, so they'd have to really close that distance before they would interact with one another and then do something really weird as they talked about, kind of rotating counterclockwise around one another. Very odd stuff there. It's science, folks. Science on your Friday morning. Here's the Hurricane Nicole track. Category 2 storm this morning. It was just a tropical storm yesterday. Winds of right now of 100 miles an hour. Now here's Matthew's impacts on us. It goes up the Florida coastline, Georgia coastline, and South Carolina. Then it starts to head its way east and southeast thanks to that cold front diving in. This will interact with moisture feed coming in out of Matthew, so that's going to amplify a band of very heavy rain over Hampton Roads down in northeast North Carolina. Here's one of the computer models showing all of that rain. The yellows and oranges you're seeing there is rainfall totals in excess of 4 inches, so certainly feasible in northeast North Carolina and all the way down through the Outer Banks, even stretching in parts of Hampton Roads, although that's a little bit high for our area. I'm thinking 1, 2 to maybe 3 inches is a fair bet. So we talked about the effects on Hampton Roads earlier. Now to focus on the northern Outer Banks. Saturday into Sunday, winds gusting as high as 45 miles an hour, 2 to 4 inches there on the north side. Then you head further south. That's when we're talking 3 to 6 inches of rain. And of course, you'll get closer to the center of Matthew, so higher wind gusts, around 55 miles an hour or so. So still some minor effects there. Also, through much of our area, flash flood watch has been issued for tomorrow morning and through Sunday night due to the amounts of rain and as well as the saturated ground that we already have from about 2 weeks ago when we had about a foot of rain.
A lot of people have been asking what happens if Matthew collides with Nicole. Better said, if Nicole collides with Matthew. Well, this effect actually has a name, named after the person that discovered the concept. He was a meteorologist by the last name of Fujiwhara. So our own meteorologist on Daybreak, Tim Pandajis, is going to explain. You have been getting so many questions.
Yeah, it's really been a topic of interest on social media. People ask, there's 2 hurricanes out there. Right. What happens if they combine and become one superstorm? That's not likely to happen. And when that effect does occur, that's not how it works. When 2 storms get close in general vicinity like that, they begin to influence each other's track. And if they get close enough, they'll actually start to orbit around one another. And the stronger of the 2, which in this case would be Matthew, would eventually absorb Nicole. And the last time this happened, Lucy, was actually the last time a major hurricane hit the United States, Hurricane Wilma in 2005, where Wilma actually absorbed Alpha. That was the year we went into the Greek alphabet because we ran out of names. And I don't think this is going to happen with this particular one. It's just not going to come close enough where it would have to absorb it. It's just going to influence its track.
And is that because of a cold front that's also interrupting the systems? Yeah,
the whole thing right now is kind of a roadblock scenario. So Matthew's trying to lift its way northwards. We have a cold front coming in from the north and west, nudging it towards Nicole, and then Nicole will deflect it south. So that's going to help it go into kind of like a loop off the southeast coastline for the next week.
So I hope that explains what is called the Fujiwhara.
Fujiwhara, it's fun to say.
We all learned something today. Back to you guys.
Welcome back, 6:39. Latest Doppler imagery here of Hurricane Matthew. The eye pretty much just about 25 miles off the coastline from Cape Canaveral in Florida. Heavy, heavy rain bands, gusting winds there as high as 90 miles an hour. Of course, the strongest side of a hurricane is always going to be that eastern quadrant. You see there winds of 50 miles an hour or greater sustained on the western side. Not as gusty, but with the eye so close to the coastline there, they are still seeing devastating impacts, as well as the rain, which is stretching heavily all the way up the eastern seaboard here into North Carolina. By the time we get towards Sunday morning, batches of rain coming down in buckets, talking 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, not out of the question by the time all is said and done here. And with an incoming cold front that's going to kind of squeeze out all the moisture it possibly could from Matthew that's going to be delivering it to the south. All right, so impacts here in Hampton Roads. We'll start first off inland, Saturday into Sunday. Winds northeast at 10 to 20, not much faster or stronger than what we've been seeing the past few days, but gusts upwards of 25 miles an hour, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Get closer to the coastline there. The wind gust potential goes up to around 35 miles an hour, and we also increase the rainfall totals, 2 to 3 inches there. We'll talk about the Outer Banks threats coming up and the potential impacts in just a little bit. But live radar out there this morning is pretty quiet. Even seeing some of those clouds break up a bit, but mostly cloudy region-wide in the low 70s right now. This afternoon, climbing up to around 77. You'll notice the humidity ticking upwards. Also mostly cloudy with an isolated shower. Breezy as well, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. There's the Doppler radar imagery. Lots of heavy rain through South Carolina into North Carolina. All of this lifting in our direction. On top of that, the interaction with the cold front from the west will kind of amplify the heavy rain right over our area tonight and into tomorrow. Out ahead of the steadier rain is some isolated showers that are beginning to develop. A little bit of some heavier downpours in South Chesapeake and South Virginia Beach. All of those lifting north in the next hour or so. The heavier rain arriving here as we get in towards the afternoon hours. Late to early evening, really coming down in buckets there. You see the shading there of the oranges and the yellows indicating 1 to 2 inch per hour rainfall rates. That continues all night long and into tomorrow morning before it slowly departs from west to east by, say, lunchtime or so. Now, what do the threats look like for your area here in Hampton Roads? Well, inland areas likely going to be the best spots to be. Northeast winds 20 to 25, gusts to 35, 2 to 4 inches of rain. So still a lot of rain there, but you get closer to the coast and those rainfall totals go up to 3 to 6 inches with gusts near 50, and then into the Outer Banks, much worse there. North side seeing rainfall amounts of 4 to 8 inches, gusts to 60 miles an hour, and you move to the south side of the Outer Banks there, right through Hatteras Island. 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts not out of the question, and 5 to 10 inches of rain by the time all is said and done there. They're closer to the actual center of the track of Matthew.